All right, guys, welcome back, and thank you for staying with us for the Creative Clinic panel discussion. We're going to have an hour now where we'll be talking all things music, production, and wellness. Just to go over the house rules again, as mentioned before, make sure that
Oh,
you have
about that, didn't
fun.
I?
We're all about the good vibes here, and you will also have the opportunity to ask our panel any questions later. And then also, please show us your lovely faces as we'd love for you to engage with our guest speaker today. And then again, for those of you who have just joined us before the break, Deanyboy delivered a music production masterclass looking at all aspects of music production from concept to completion. And then Deanyboy has worked on some of the biggest UK artists such as Shaka, Cash, Weston, Ard Ads, Marsha Ambrosius, and Daniel Bedingfield, to name a few. So that was just a recap for anybody and also an intro for those of you who have just joined us. So Deanyboy, thanks again for joining us. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm here.
I just love asking, are you there, and just hearing you.
Yeah, man. I'm here. I'm in the building.
Cool. So we're all good to go. We're just going to get into our discussion, which I'm quite excited about actually, because it will be interesting to delve deeper into your journey. So yeah, if we start off, I guess, sort of around your personal journey, you did mention that you started your career at the tender age of 11. Well, to be honest, you said that you learned how to play the drums by the age of 5, and you were touring by the age of 8. This is all very super young. Sorry.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit more about that, and also like how you even ended up touring at the age of 8? You mentioned that it was with your uncles and maybe your dad and
Yeah, my uncle's, yeah.
the boy band. So yeah, tell us more. You tried to just mention it lightly and breeze past it.
No, so basically, a lot of people in my family are in the entertainment industry. Um, I speak very proudly about my family whenever I do. I don't very often, but when I do, I'm very proud. Yeah, so obviously everyone has two sides of their family: mother's side, father's side. Mother's side is the Wade side. My uncles had a group called the Wades. They were known like around the world. They've toured different many countries across the world. I toured with them from a young age playing drums. Also, obviously, we're like the next generation after them. So you have like Jovan Wade, which is he owns the Wall of Comedy, and he's an actor. Lives in Hollywood now. You got Varen Wade, who is a songwriter. He wrote Trip for LMA, people like that. Myself, there's tons of us. You got like Ashley David, content creator and stuff like that. So he's also an artist. Our family is very big, and we're all in the entertainment industry. So yeah, it's kind of like in the blood type thing. Starting from really young, doing all of that, it was quite natural to progress onto doing production after like learning to play instruments, just practicing at home and stuff like that. When I went to secondary school, my school was one of the first schools to get like really good studio equipment, and we had like Cubase. So from first year in secondary, it was like a balance between football and studio, and a lot of the time I'll miss out on football just to go in the studio at lunch breaks,
Nice.
before school, after school. I did my music GCSE like 2 or 3 years earlier. I can't even remember,
Oh
but they put me in for it early, and I got a star. It was like
wow.
quite a breeze. Yeah, I did my Spanish GCSE early as well. It's pretty good. But yeah, just getting into production. I started doing like remixes for people. A little £200 a remix thing by the age of like 13. So I've been kind of getting paid for
Wow.
production, like earning a living off of it, like my whole life, pretty much. And I used to choreograph dance and stuff like that when I used to develop a boy group called FDM or Fundamental. I
Yeah.
used to
Sit.
like do production for them, do choreography, and like vocal training stuff, and just like developing shows and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've kind of like been in a few different worlds, dancing world. I worked in high fashion for about 8 years. So yeah, I've done quite a few bits.
Definitely, you're wearing a few different hats, but you're definitely immersed in entertainment.
Yeah, for sure.
Sick. And it's interesting that you say you was providing remixes for 200 quid by the age of 13. My little brother has just turned 14 and he is learning or wanting to learn how to produce. Maybe this is something we could talk about actually.
Okay.
And yeah, he has those kind of ambitions as well. Like he wants to make crazy amounts of money at this age, and I've not thought that it's unrealistic, but it's definitely good to hear, from your perspective or from your journey, that that was actually possible back then. So let alone now.
Well, yeah. I mean, like if you're doing like two, three remixes a week, that's like, do you know what I mean? 600 to 800 quid a week at the age of 13 or whatever. That's good money.
Defo, defo, he'll be
Yeah,
laughing, and I hope
yeah,
he.
exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. So you've worked with such an eclectic mix of artists,
Hmm.
and I guess yeah, you create varied styles of music as demonstrated during your masterclass. So how would you describe your style of music?
My type of music,
Yeah.
I would say one. If I was to use one word to describe it, it would have to be emotive
Okay.
because your emotions have to connect with my music emotionally more than anything else. Emotionally, I want you to feel something because I believe like music is just soul is a soul thing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Interesting. So off the back of that, then we did sort of just touch on, I guess, your education in terms of, we know that you did music GCSE, but then did you study at school or uni at all to develop your style any further than, I guess, what you were already doing?
No, in college I did like music courses and business studies and stuff like that. And that was it, just to like understand the business and stuff. And I could have went into accountancy. I was very, very good with math from a young age.
Okay, right.
Like when I started like secondary school, I was doing algebra already.
Right.
Like like I was on that, so I could have done that easily. But yeah, when you're that young and you're earning like good money from production or doing choreography or whatever, you kind of like, do I want to go to uni just to do this exact same thing, or do I just get cracking
Yeah, definitely.
because it's happening already?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so I just got cracking, man, got cracking, and then I probably anyone that went to uni, I may have had maybe like 5 years more experience than they got, just in terms of time frame.
Yeah.
Because I just got down to the nitty gritty, man, and just got in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sick. And I guess you had that, you were in the best environment to do that. So that's
For sure.
definitely something to be mindful of. So,
Yep.
so do you think it is important then to join creative educational courses for anybody who is out there at the moment and looking for these kind of courses?
Absolutely. Like the knowledge that you'll gain, like even if you did something for like a certain amount of months and let's say they gave you like 100 pieces of information and you only got 10 from them, you might feel like that's a waste. But those 10 could be the difference between you making some big mistakes that cost you 20 years of your life in terms of music or whatever you're doing creatively, if it's music, fashion, film, what have you. You might just need those things. So I would say definitely do some courses. Um, I would say if you're gonna do like elongated course, like 2 years, a year, 2 years, 3 years, make sure you're doing practical work at the same time,
Yeah,
like going into studios, working with people, networking and stuff at the same time. Don't take 2, 3 years out of your life, just study and do nothing else, because it will just you'll come out of uni or what have you, and you'll just have to start networking then, and then you're just gonna be behind everyone else. So you're gonna have to do both whilst you're doing that.
yeah, definitely. That is good advice. And I suppose that, yeah, that would definitely be encouraged in any kind of musical course, because it's almost weird to just learn the theory to something without actually applying the practice.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yeah, cool. Okay, so in terms of the route then that you've taken, do you feel that your career journey has been linear, and has it been easy?
Um, no, I think anything you're doing creatively is gonna have like two parallel worlds running at the same time.
Yeah.
Being happy with what you're doing is one world, And you know, generating consistent income from that is a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
Because you might have a year or two where you've got too much money, you don't even know what to do with it. Like you don't know how to spend it because money's just rolling, and you could have like a whole 6 months of nothing going on really, and you're being creative, but the industry is just in a different world, or you're working on a project or working on an album for 6 months. You need to make sure you put some money aside to live off that until the label pays you, or until that album comes out and does well and then pays you, which is all probabilities. And do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's all kinds of stuff. Like for example, I went to LA. I was flown to LA to work on Daniel Bedingfield's album, and was there for quite a while. And we worked on probably about 50 songs or something like that
Wow.
altogether. Yeah, from scratch basically. And some of the stuff Daniel had started already, and we was just adding on top. But yeah, there's only a couple of those songs that come out from that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you get paid for like all the work you do and your time and stuff like that. But yeah, it was very much so like a thing of doing a lot of work, and then only a couple bits come out from it. It's great stuff, but it's not. You might expect, oh, we're gonna have like 30 songs out. Do you know what I mean? And it's not that. So you have to just kind of be ready to expect that. There's other situations where it could go the total opposite way round. You go into work with an artist, so we're just gonna do a single, and then you end up doing loads of other stuff. I think that's kind of what happened with Shiesty when we first started doing some work together. I did like a song with her called Stop, and then it got A-listed on radio,
Yeah.
and then we kept working together, and we just started doing some other bits, and we did another song called Let Me Go. I'm gassed. Yeah, there's quite a few bits. Yeah, so sometimes it kind of like has
A knock-on effect.
a knock-on effect where you can just keep going and just building from there.
I think, yeah, I definitely hear. I guess that is sort of the relationship with producers and artists, where you've made music with them. There's music in the locker, but it's like it might not come out for now. It might come out in a few years' time,
For sure.
or it's that, yeah, you've gone in there, you've made 10 songs that you're super attached to, and then only one song's going to be on their project, or
Yep. Yep.
like I hear of that kind of situation all the time. And then even like producers don't really use like language that suggests like this is definitely happening. So like they will say like, yes, I think his next one might be with me or something. And I'm just always cracking up because it's like, yeah, like right now the next release is currently with you, but then tomorrow that could change, and they're going with another producer or whatever. So I imagine it's probably interesting sort of maintaining relationships with artists and things, because
Uh-huh.
you can't take it personally, can you?
You really can't. I mean, it really does work out better for producers in the long run. So, for example, Usher can only release a certain amount of songs as Usher because he's one artist. Where I could produce 3 songs for Usher, 4 for Chris Brown, 2 for Rihanna, one for Celine Dion, another one for Sean Paul, another 6 for Kid, another. Like I could have 50 songs out in the charts at one time. Like Pharrell and them people, they've had like 30 songs out at one time, like just different artists and things. So, it can be quite lucrative for a producer or a songwriter
Yeah.
to have songs out simultaneously. So yeah, it kind of works to your advantage being a producer. To be honest with you, I don't think there's many disadvantages. You just got to put the work in and be dope. Just be dope, stand out, because the best tracks are gonna win all the time. You
Yeah.
know.
I
Yeah.
laughed there randomly when you said Celine Dion and then Sean Paul. I feel like we need to actually see something from the two of them together.
Why not?
I think that would really please the Caribbean community.
Yeah, 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 yeah. In Jamaica, they play a lot of Celine Dion and Shania Twain, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know why Jamaicans are actually obsessed with Celine Dion. It just cracks me up. So maybe a little Celine Dion and a Sean Paul. collaboration would bang. But
Yep.
so we'll look out for that then from you, Deany Boy. Lovely.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You'll be
So
surprised.
a bit that'll be a big one. Anyway, cool. A bit about development. So the process of developing an idea is an integral part of music production, as you've said, especially when taking briefs from clients and artists. So can you tell us a little bit about how you deal, sorry, with keeping on top of current trends and staying ahead of what the client and the audience wants?
Right. I've realized that everything musically goes on in circles. So, literally, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like it does that. It literally cycles.
Loops.
Sometimes it skips back to like 90s and then goes back to 2000, and sometimes it goes back to 70s and back to 2000. But it's moving in cycles. So, in terms of staying ahead, you just got to work out which cycle is next. In terms of staying on top of things, you just got to keep listening to music, and you have to keep referencing as well. Because when I listen to like modern music, a lot of the time I'm like, oh, they got that from there. Oh, they got that from there. I'm becoming like a musical encyclopedia. Like when I hear something, I'm like, yeah, that chord structure's from that song. That is from that. Like you kind of work out what they've done, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally. You kind of hear where it comes from. So I guess just referencing new music and new things with each other all the time. Yeah.
There was something there that I just wanted to say. What was it? Referencing of new music. Okay, if I remember it, I will come back to it. So about artist development,
Yeah.
I think you did sort of mention this briefly actually in the masterclass, but I wanted to just talk to you a little bit more about artist development and if this is something that you take particular interest in when working with artists. Because I know
Yeah.
that you're not just a beat maker, you're a producer, but then generally you're very musical. So would you say that this is the type of relationship that you have when working with artists?
Yeah, I tend to, because I've worked in fashion and choreography and all that stuff. I've realized that everything adds up to everything. So, like for example, I'll give you an example. The rock guitar in a track could determine the type of fashion you wear in the music video to that record. Like you might want to wear a lot more leathers and more. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you just like you got to know how to pattern your thing basically. Like in terms of like development, for me, every kick drum like adds up to every color, adds up to every chord structure, matches every, like everything has to match in my head. So I'm seeing a movie or a music video when I'm making records, and I can see like I have a full on vision, like audio wise, visually, conceptually, emotionally. What is the pulse of the record? What is like? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I kind of look at all of those things in terms of development with artists. It all has to kind of pull together. I did a lot of that with the Fundamental Boys.
Okay.
Yeah, hours on end, like in my house, tearing up my carpet, doing routines and all that kind of stuff, and just like studying the greats, Michael Jackson and whatever, and just putting together things so it's like in a tight package. So when you come on stage, it's explosive. Like people know what time it is immediately. Not like, oh, we're just warming up now and they'll get better over time. Like no, 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 no. Be crazy now. Like having that immediate impact so people know the levels.
Mm.
Yeah, you'll get a faster result if you take your time to get your craft together. When you step out in the world with your music or whatever, I feel like you have a stronger impact because people hear about you first listen and they're like, I need to put my brethren onto this, or I need to get in contact with my cousin who's an A&R, or I need to. Where if people hear you first listen, second listen, third listen, and you sound all right, but you're getting better, they'll be like, oh, I'll get back to you. I'll listen to Drake and I'll listen to someone else.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Until you get better. But when you really get your craft to sound tight, things can happen in a week. You put a tune online and everyone's just going mad, and your life is changed in a week. All of a sudden, you're getting followers from all over the place, you know, Jay-Z follows you or Drake follows you, and then everyone's talking about you or whatever. But
So I'm
I
sure
think,
it'll be Drake to set it off.
yeah, yeah, pretty much, yeah. It happened. It's happened for a lot of people. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. I think, yeah,
Well, that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask for an example of an artist that you've developed. But then I guess you've just given us that example, right, with the
yeah,
boy.
uh-huh,
Okay, cool. And then I just remembered what it was I wanted to say before about sort of like the trends and the changes of music. I wanted to mention Brandy and her album,
yeah.
a recent album.
Oh,
And I just feel like for such a like outdated, I shouldn't have said that. She's not outdated. I felt like she was listening for a second and I just offended her. But for such an old school artist, I feel like, we hadn't heard from her for so long. And then she came back with an album that actually sounds futuristic. Like it's not the current sound that we're in now. It's like it's a bit in the future, but it made me think of that because you were saying that things are just sort of on loop at the moment in terms of just going back to the 70s and the 80s and the 90s.
mhm.
But it's like I find it interesting when artists are able to yeah, she's a 90s artist who was able to come back in 2020 but with like a futuristic sound.
Right.
Yeah, but that was just a random point that I just wanted to flag.
Some observation. That's a good look. Shows you're paying attention to the scene, man. It's a good look. Do you know what as well? Like, one thing I've really taken notice with is that, like, Jamaicans and Caribbeans have really, really had a heavy, like, inspiration on this country. Because
Oh, of course.
if you check it right, same thing I was saying about the cycles with the 60s and the 70s and all that kind of stuff, right? And the music goes round in circles. One of the only countries that develops like new sounds, obviously since Motown and stuff like that was created in America and whatnot, one of the only countries that develops new sounds is like Black Britain. And when I'm saying that, I'm talking more about the new sound of jungle that happened, then of garage,
Yeah.
grime, and now drill. Now, you got jungle music, which was a fusion of reggae music and a drum and bass and stuff like that, and sped up drums and stuff like that. Drum and bass is obviously moved on to like the garage sound, which was a bit slower with more of a two-step vibe, with like soulful melodies.
Yeah.
But the MCing part of garage is still very Jamaican influenced,
Yeah.
like the sound clashing and the MCing over the track, even down to the lingo used is very dancehall kind of like. Do you know what I mean? Tune into the sounds of this and that and blah blah blah. That is very like a Jamaican thing.
Yeah.
Also, moving into grime, we all know that, like even just street slang in general, wagwan, my brother, you done know, big up yourself, fam, yeah. All of that is all like Jamaican lingo. You know what I'm saying? And then it's moved into drill. Same thing, even with drill, the syncopation of drill, if you slow it down, it's basically dancehall. Because if you got like drill hi hats are going that's dancehall. So like you if you actually like like the influence and the progression of music has been heavily influenced by Jamaica. You know, and as we all know, Jamaicans are from Africa anyway. So it all comes back to Africa. There you go.
Lovely. Well, as Getz pointed out in his latest Fire in the Booth,
Yep.
um, Jamaican men buy food from Chinese, but not Nigerians.
Boy, boy, I love my jollof in that same way, boy. I love my jollof. I love my African people to the bone. Trust me.
and so do I. But that's interesting though what you've just said about drill actually, because I've not looked at it like that. But yeah, it's very interesting and true.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, in terms of your inspirations, then, who would you say are your musical inspirations? I imagine you were inspired from a very, very young age, naturally, based on your environment and your family.
Yeah.
So, yeah, who are your musical inspirations?
Ooh. I would say producers wise, um, it would probably be Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Teddy Riley, Timbaland and Pharrell. I think those four, obviously Quincy Jones normally, but yeah, those four production outfits are, I think, yeah, that's like the heaviest influence on me. If I had to pick one that was the heaviest influence, it would probably be Teddy Riley
Okay.
because like '90s music is just like come on, like it's just levels,
It's
it's
where it's
levels. Exactly. From that, I would say like in terms of dancehall music and stuff, it's more artists than producers in dancehall.
at. Okay.
Obviously Sly and Robbie and like my dad's a reggae singer, so like reggae music, yeah, like all the reggae greats and stuff, of course. But yeah, I think it's more like artists and the feels of the artists on record, in terms of like dancehall and reggae and stuff like the Caribbean side. But yeah, I think like in terms of like if I want to feel good right now immediately, I would say I'd probably play either reggae music or Afro beats. Those are the two most feel good genres
Honestly, yeah.
for me immediately, like no matter what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm gonna cook, if I'm gonna whatever, like just
Definitely.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Teddy Riley, you mentioning Teddy Riley just made me remember the thing in lockdown last
The
year.
verses,
Yeah, the first.
it's hilarious, man.
Firstly, I just couldn't get over the whole technical difficulty of it.
Oh man.
So
Yeah.
stressful. It was like, y'all are really getting old, man. I'm sorry, but it was really just interfering with the thing. But it was good. It was good. It was. It
They
was.
should have patterned it for him though, man. They know like his age and whatever. Like
Oh, I
you get your techie guys, man. That's what they're paid for. Like they got a pattern.
I know he had the whole production behind him and everything.
Yeah.
Mostly, I think it was actually Babyface's earphones. I do actually think it was his earphones, but anyway. Um,
I don't know about that still, but yeah, that's another whole discussion.
so for somebody starting out in the music industry who may be on a limited budget, as we spoke about earlier, are there any
Yeah.
resources? Are there any resources or tools that you could recommend at this point?
Um. Right. So I would say just get yourself a Mac. GarageBand comes with the Mac, by the way. It comes with it free. So, and there's a lot of sounds in GarageBand you can use. You got a microphone that's on the actual computer that you can use. I've heard of some people that have done whole mixtapes and released them on Spotify at that level with just using the mic on the laptop. The same mic that picks you up on Zoom and stuff like that, and FaceTime. And get yourself a little keyboard that you can plug in to the Mac to play on, like a keyboard like this, piano, so you can trigger all your sounds. Yeah, so like back in the day, you'd have had to spend maybe like 20 to 50 grand, just depending on how big your studio was, on equipment, speakers, a desk, sound modules, and all that kind of stuff. And now you can have one like with a grand, like just by buying a laptop and,
So
and a keyboard.
is there any I mean, is there any way to produce without a Mac? This is just around, yeah.
Yeah, there are other ways. Like obviously, some people use PCs and just have like, maybe like,
Could you use your phone?
yeah, you could use your phone. If you got GarageBand on there, it's a bit limited. But if you were on an aeroplane or you was on holiday and you didn't want to bring a laptop or you didn't have one, you could still produce on your phone. I've made some dope beats on GarageBand on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, so you,
I've heard actually that there are, yeah, some little apps. I knew of GarageBand, but there's some other apps.
yeah, there are.
Because I can't think of the name now, but I remember my little, like, setting up my little brother on his phone because like, for example, for a 14-year-old, like, he doesn't have a Mac.
Right.
Um, but I feel like, yeah, I did see some apps. It's annoying now because I can't remember the names, but GarageBand is
Yeah,
definitely one that comes
go,
with.
you can go on Google and find them pretty easy though.
Yeah.
Yeah, people could just definitely Google them and do some research and find out what's best for the phone that you have. If it's a Samsung you have or whatever, best to go on Google and have a look.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so all hope is not lost, guys. You don't have to get the because I'm just here thinking, boy, like I don't know what I'd be doing to get that bloody Mac. It's
Yeah.
and it's so it's I guess, after a while of saving, it would be very rewarding for you to be able to spend that on a Mac. But I guess I would never say to a young person like don't do anything up until you get a Mac, because
No, of
sure,
course.
there's definitely things that could be done.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, they do pay down schemes where you can pay down on your Mac. Apple
Okay.
do, but you probably have to have a good track record of like bills and stuff. So you might have to do it for a parent or auntie or
Yeah,
uncle or
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
They'll give you the Mac. Oh, you can just pay it off every month for like a year or two or whatever deals they
Okay.
do. So that is another way of doing it.
That's
But like I said, the music is not a cheap process. It's quite an expensive process to get a good.
it's an investment at the end of the day.
It's an investment. You either believe in yourself or you don't.
Yeah.
You have to, at some point you have to take a step. And one thing I would say is that if you were to give money to someone else and they were doing something with it, that's when you can lose out. But if you're spending it on yourself, you can never ever lose out because you're investing in yourself.
Hmm.
You got to believe that you're worth that investment.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know, you really have to. No
definitely.
one else is gonna believe it unless you believe it.
Yeah, defo.
Sure. Yeah.
But don't do anything dodgy to get the money, guys.
Nah, don't do anything dodgy to get the money. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. Take your time and get it how you can get it. I think it's more rewarding as well when you know you legit like did it legit way. Like no one can't tell me nothing. I did this myself. Do you know what I mean? No one can point any fingers. When you have some accolades under your belt and it's like yeah, I did everything. I went the proper journey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course. I only say that because there's just so many pressures, obviously, on young people and on creatives,
yeah,
and yeah, I think it would obviously be a shame for that to be misinterpreted.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, cool. So this takes us in nicely to the next part. So if we look at wellness and anxiety on the job,
Yeah.
um, the recent Looking Glass survey found that almost 90% of people who work in the creative industries had at some point in their careers suffered with mental health issues as a result of their working environment.
Mhm.
And anxiety actually came out as the number one mental health issue amongst creatives.
Right.
So, can I ask you what you think needs to be implemented to help combat these statistics?
Um, there's so many. Okay, we're gonna have to deal with what you're made up of. And anyone that studies anything, whether it be science or whatever, it's debatable, but this is as far as I've got. You have your mental state, you also have your spiritual state, and you have your physical state. Yeah. Without going too deep in the spiritual, you definitely need to have some kind of clear focus in terms of meditation, prayer, whatever it is that you do. You need to align yourself with your inner self and be in line with the light source that you come from. Like, it doesn't matter what you think or believe, you have to be in line with that because, everything comes from somewhere and there's a greater version of yourself. And if you're not in touch with that, then you just won't be great. You won't be at your full potential. So to get your full potential, you need to be in touch with the greater side of yourself. That's on a spiritual level, and I'll leave the spiritual side there because I don't want to like go too deep into that. I believe in God, but that's my personal beliefs. Your mental state of mind, in terms of what you take in through your eyes and your ears, is imperative. The videos that you're watching, whether you're watching the news 24/7 and it's giving you anxiety, whether you're, on YouTube or Instagram looking at the wrong things, or looking at things that make you feel a certain type of way, you are in control of what goes in your ears and eyes. Some people say your eyes are the window to your soul. I strongly believe that. So you have to be very careful what you put in inside your psyche, inside your mind. via your ears and eyes. Also, I feel like your your body works physically off of what you put into it and your resting times. So just like some things that I've picked up on over the years and studied, your body, your blood is recreated, like it cleans itself basically between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. in the morning. So when you're sleeping at that hour, your blood cleans itself and your arteries clean themselves and stuff like that. When you're up awake outside of those hours, or when you're awake inside those hours,
Yeah.
you don't get the same process. So you could sleep for 20 hours outside of that time. It will not be as effective as sleeping between 10 and 4
Okay.
o'clock. So you need to try and make sure you sleep at those times, because what can happen if you sleep outside of those times, if your blood is not remade and not like hasn't cleansed itself, that's where depression, anxiety, and things like that can come in because of the cycle. Your brain's not getting enough oxygen from the blood, your organs aren't getting enough oxygen, you feel fatigue, then you start getting anxiety, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So you need to really make sure that your sleeping pattern is sorted, that you get enough oxygen. Being outside is very important as well. So make sure you get some exercise outdoors, get your blood pumping outdoors, taking as much oxygen as possible. Have a window cracked when you sleep at night. Drinking lots of water. We are like 70-80% water, so you need water. You need to drink a lot of water, preferably warm water or room temperature. If you're a vocalist and singer, don't drink any cold water because it will just close your vocals up. Ginger will help with your vocals, open your vocal cords up if you're gonna sing. Also, well-being diets like your food plans, not eating greasy foods late at night. Juicing fruits and veg is really good. Yeah, like
Well,
there's so many different things. Like I'm just like just anything that I know, I'm just saying. So
yeah, yeah.
it could just help you. So yeah, like spiritually, physically, and mentally, try and keep yourself in that zone and not be distracted too much. There'll always be distractions, phone calls, what have you. But yeah, just try to keep yourself in a routine,
Mm.
and have a regime that works for you within that.
That was definitely that was very good actually, invaluable information. And I think yeah, it's one of those things that people probably don't feel like, there's so many elements to it, but everything really does marry up together, and it allows you to be your best self, as you mentioned. And
Absolutely.
that's really all you need when you're trying to create a piece of work. But I think people, I'm really happy that you mentioned sleep, because I've seen it happen like to people
Yep.
very, very close to me. And it's quite scary actually how, from one creative idea that you're feeling really passionate about, that could actually turn into you passionately working away on that idea, and putting in loads of hours, and it feels great, it feels rewarded, you feel like you're being constructive, but that can lead to sleep deprivation, which then just goes, you're just on a downward spiral. And it's scary like how quickly, just from you not actually getting enough sleep, your whole vibe and being can switch up.
Yeah, and you can also develop illnesses and sicknesses as well if you're not careful.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've seen it happen with my own eyes, and it is definitely, yeah, it's quite scary, because you
Yeah.
can slip in. I guess how quickly you can slip into it is not how quickly you can come out from it. So
Right.
it's definitely something to be really, yeah, serious about. And also from like the perspective of a producer, I would say like all the producers I know just spend loads of time obviously at their screen, at their laptop, or monitor or whatever, or in the studio, and all these spaces are so like closed in. So it's good that you mentioned as well, even if it's just having your window cracked, or definitely going outside and taking
Yep.
some time away from your screen. But I could see how a young person may feel like, that's not as productive, as it
Yeah, for
as it
sure.
is.
For sure, we're like walking plants. So if you was to lock a plant in a dark room without sunlight and not give it any water, what's going to happen to the plant? So
Mm.
if you're basically in a dark room, not getting any sunlight, you're not drinking any water, you're eating fried foods, and you're looking at a screen, the screen's going to give you headaches. The dark room, you're not getting any sunlight. You're mashing yourself up, basically.
Hmm.
So you need to, yeah, be very careful with that one.
Cool, great. So then, what steps have you made in your own productions to help manage your mental well-being? Obviously, you shared with us your sort of personal list of things that you do,
Yeah.
but then have you, surely there will be times where you found yourself just sort of slip into maybe sort of overworking, or maybe it's just that the hours that you're doing for 1 week or for a certain project are really intense. Like what have you done, or how have you managed that?
Yeah, some things that you can't avoid, like you need to meet deadlines and get in and really, but putting a break aside is imperative. Like, and making sure that you have those breaks when there's daylight outside and stuff like that. Um, because this is the way I see it. If God forbid you end up in a hospital, you can't work anymore. So why wait till you get to that stage to prevent
Mhm.
yourself getting to that degree? And you won't be able to do anything. That's even just for somebody who works 9 to 5, or does anything else. If you don't manage yourself, your health will manage it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't want your health to take control, because when your health says I've had enough, there won't be much. It's not easy to reverse.
Hmm.
So manage yourself how you can now, and always take time out, to breathe, do your breathing exercises, your meditation, drinking water, what have you. Yeah, you need to monitor your life. You're in control of your life,
Mm.
you know. So you need to make sure that you look after yourself. One thing I've noticed is that from the minute that you're basically conceived in your mum's womb, you have a heartbeat. That is the most loyal muscle to you ever. Every other organ gets a chance to break. Yeah, when you sleep, they all get rest. Your muscles get rest, your nervous system gets rest, your lymphatic system gets rest, everything else gets rest, but your heart never stops beating. We all know what happens when your heart stops beating. Yeah, so your mind gets the rest when you sleep, everything else gets to rest, but your heart never stops. So you need to be just as loyal to your heart as your heart is loyal to you.
Mm.
So yeah,
Lovely, wise words.
for sure.
Okay, so actually, one last thing on that topic. Working with people overseas and things, and then I guess like managing the time difference. So obviously, we can speak about Cash, for example,
Mhm.
and you working with him when he was in Jamaica.
Yeah.
How did you manage that in terms of the time difference, and also staying on top of your wellness?
Right. So we're like 5 hours ahead, and Cash will get a lot of vibes in the evening. So if Cash is getting vibes at 10 o'clock at night in Jamaica, it's like 3 a.m. in the morning here.
Yeah.
So what I would do sometimes is get some rest in the daytime, or soldier it out. And then when it comes to a certain time, I'm like, bro, I've got to stop now. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, and that'll be it. But in terms of, we used to work over WhatsApp. So basically, I would have my small headphones in my ears connected to my phone, speaking to him on that. Then I'd have the big headphones over that connected to my computer.
Wow.
So I'd basically be playing the music. I can hear what he's saying, but I'm also playing the music in my
Yeah, yeah,
in my
yeah.
ear while
That's
we're
it.
doing the work. Also, sometimes I would just have the headphones plugged into my phone, the small headphones plugged into my phone, and have the computer going out to the speaker and have the speaker near the little speaker part on the headphone. So
Hmm.
I can hear him, he can hear the music as well, and we just work like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we used to do a lot of work like that, which it was actually great practice for this whole lockdown thing that we've had.
Yeah, it's very true. Look at that. The timing was
Yeah.
perfect.
So we're used to working that way. So when this happened, we could work in that way. I've worked with other artists that way, and I'm kind of used to it. it's not really a biggie for me. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm kind of trained in that from working so long for a good few years with Cash, like that way.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think maybe like even some of your producer friends and peers and things would have been looking at you like a bit
It's for
different. Like
for for
your
sure.
way of working was obviously quite different for a set period of time. Was it 1 or 2 years working with Cash, and then now everybody's probably asking you like if there's any tips that you could give them
For sure.
as to how to operate in this kind of space. But yeah, that's very inspiring. Definitely. Okay, cool. So in keeping with, I guess, always being a student and this notion of never stopping learning, what advice would you give to anyone who wants to pursue a career in music production? If there was one line maybe that you could give them, what would that be?
Um, oh, music production. Stand out.
You can look back to this camera.
Stand out.
Stand out.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely stand out.
Maybe I'm gonna change what I said now, and we're gonna go for more than one line.
Okay.
When you say stand out, elaborate. What do you mean?
There are tons of producers across the world. What makes you different? When someone listens to your beats or your production, what makes you different? What makes you stand out from the rest? I think it's important to get that.
Yeah.
That's something.
So
You hear a Timberland beat and you know it's Timberland before the record, before the vocalist starts, you know it's Timberland.
I was just gonna say, what makes Timberland stand out? Like what makes
His,
Timberland
the
stand out?
sounds he uses and his rhythmic patterns,
Okay.
you know, and having signature sounds or signature sonics that you use. Like I could play you a beat from Pharrell and you know it's Pharrell straight away. You'll know, you know, because he's had many hits with those similar sounds and it's deliberately done so you know their sound when you hear them. Yeah.
That's a bit like is it London on the Track or no Mustard? Is it Mustard?
Yep.
Both. Yeah.
And
Yep.
yeah, there was this period in time where it like every song on the radio, even in
Yep.
the club, was just Mustard.
Yep. Yep.
And it all had that same sound, and it was like it was a new sound, but it was the sound of the time, and he was just making every single tune.
Yep.
Yeah, he had a good run,
When you
definitely.
have your run, you got to run, man. T-Pain had a run. Everyone gets their chance, you know, but you got to run like crazy. You got to run like Usain Bolt when that's going on.
Okay, cool, good, great. Well, thank you for answering those questions. Just before we get started taking audience questions, it's time for this week's Creators Gallery. I feel like I should have sang that bit, maybe given it a little bit of a theme tune. We've had a piece sent in, a piece of music sent in by Jordan Williams titled Soul Food. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, Jordan would like our feedback on that. So let's take a listen.
Yeah. Soul food.
Forgive me if this is rude. I just want to try one thing.
Somewhere in East London, he start plate trying to beat something. Grave shift saving and training for a spaceship to phase upwards. Dreams often, pills often, speeds often to retirement. Pit stop, the grind don't end. In East London I see struggling. Empty fridge, clean oven. Hunger meant we keep hustling. Stomach rumbling, the jungle swallowing. The ops are following him, watching him tussling. We're smuggling, something rushing in. That's coming with a double-digit punishment. The trouble is nothing to weigh up against. Living good with the opposite. What's the consequence? Losing your consciousness. DMT helped me empty the illusion of confidence. Cut loose to Metropolis. Big J's back for the sovereign. Word to my onyx ring. Burst bubbles and pop up in them offices. Bottles at the bar and compliments. Bottomless pit. Throwing rocks at gin. Suffer from obnoxiousness to often win. Getting off its oxygen. Abolishing your offering. Fuck reality, I'm augmenting all of it. Tormenting the tournament. Torturing unfortunate subordinates. Getting money with the colonists. What's It's writer's block to a columnist. You're boring him with recorded leg is what you call a drink. I want opuses, I'm going in for opulence. Christopher Wallace shit, kicking the door again. A life after death till I'm born again. To an abortionist, life been a blessing, but I guess I'm feeling fortunate. The only road at the hood is road rap and selling food. Guess I'm here to put a fork in it. Take caution, kids. There's more to this thing called life. Clicks online. If being black's current, can I squash it with the brothers? It was still on site. No ooming and ahhing. I'm all in and charging. Fasting and starving. Harvest of Toby and carving. Stepping up to the plate with a tub like Sunday dinner and aunties. Mama, know you're up there laughing. While I'm down here sparring. Meditating at the deep end of a sharp pit. Resonating for the ages. Escaping the cages I'm basting. The daftest bastard. Parkinson. Until the craft kick started. I'm pace-making targets for the brave and disheartened. Looking for a friendly face with a wave to embark on. They tried kicking me when I was down. I took it and smiled. Pushed through the trials like King James. Bust case from a crook to the crown. Ain't picked up the good book in a while, but I'll keep it on file. Big man ting, the devil's a child, thorough and wild. I've matured the rebel inside, it's corporate. Like a boss, it can't be denied. I was on my knees asking for signs. A brain and a spine, the pain to subside. Too big for my boots, getting scaled down to size. Hustled the hostel for 6 months, on 2 weeks of supplies. I should be Duke of Edinburgh. Fuck the award, I want a bed in Buckingham. Harry ducked out, so I'm cutting in. Tell Charlie to button it. Missy Williams is running things. UK to a candor, I'm taking it that far. Raising the tax bar, the facts are, I come for the BAFTAs. It's like having a light bulb moment listening to Bangra. Across the road from Shangra. La, 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 la.
We've got some fans in the studio.
Thank you.
So we're live now, right, with Jordan?
Yeah, you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Good. Well, that was lovely. Dean, are you there, yeah?
I'm here.
Let's get some feedback.
Right. So, did you produce that?
Nah, it's a producer that I worked with. We met YouTube actually. Yeah, we met on YouTube.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's that track is deep, bro.
Yeah,
Like lyrically, amazing, bro.
Thank you.
Amazing. The music is a very, very good template for you to get across what you're saying. For me, it's a perfect piece of work. If I had to add any positive criticism, it would be just to look for pockets in the music. Depending on what you want to do, if you wanted it, for me, when I listened to that sounded more on the spoken word side, than on a like a rap record side, just because of the pockets that you were choosing were a bit more spoken wordy, Kendrick Lamar-y kind of
Defo Kendrick.
that kind of vibe of like, I'm giving you a message and you're gonna listen to my message. Sometimes audiences that are in the pop world, in terms of popular world, that being the Chris Brown sides and the people that listen to Drake and whatever, a lot of the time they will tune out to songs that don't sit in a certain pocket because they're used to hearing arithmetic rap go over a arithmetic beat pattern. So maybe if you wanted to go more commercial with that, or like fall on more ears, whenever you're doing records, just look for like different pockets in the beat and rapping in a certain flow with the beat. But from listening, I felt like you specifically done it like that for that reason. You sound like you know what you're doing. So
Okay, yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, that's like that song is like the intro to a project that I did.
Okay.
Right.
So it's one of those intro kind of songs, I guess, like just setting the tone kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've got a little bit more diversity as the project goes on, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm still I kind of started like I've been writing forever, like as long as I can remember. But,
Right.
I started making music lockdown pretty much. Like,
Okay.
I started making it during lockdown. And I started actually kind of getting into the actual craft of songwriting as well.
Right.
During that period as well. So some of the stuff that you're saying, it's those are elements that I've started to do, but I've definitely got room to improve just because I'm quite new to that side of the craft.
You sound good, bro. If you started in lockdown, bro, you're sounding better than certain artists. I ain't saying no names. Yeah.
Yeah, man, thank
Like,
you.
do you know what I'm saying? I've worked with a lot of artists, bro, and you're sounding good. If you just started then, brother, you're doing your thing. Just in terms of like hooks are really important. That's the part that people can sing along to. Everyone loves a sing along.
Right.
You know, regardless of what you're talking about, if you really do want to reach many ears and get your message across, there's like a compromise of some people say, oh, that will make it more poppy. I don't believe pop is the right word. If you're going to say popular, yeah, which is the way where pop comes from anyway. But I just think that, you know, it's like the difference between me. Imagine me being like a gospel artist and trying to like get the message of God across to people, right? And I'm just like preaching at people. Ain't no one trying to hear that, bro.
Right.
There's got to be something that I'm doing, something that people are used to hearing, and then I put a little something in there that makes someone say, like, you know what, it's kind of true, you know, like, or whatever. It's just that balance between I want to get my point across, but I want people to, do you get what I'm saying? So just maybe like think about putting some hooks in, some catchy hooks in. I think in terms of rap, someone like 50 Cent is a master at doing that. You know, if you look at like 50 Cent, like for example, this is how we do with 50 Cent and the game, right? Every part of the record is basically hooks, even the verses. So you've got like this is how we do, that's one part, yeah, that's another hook, yeah. Then you got like fresh light, Impala, 808 drums, and like I been Lamborghini doors on my Escalade. They're all like, they're almost like little hooks.
Right.
Like every single part of the song is like a hook. Same with like Kojo Funds. One time, two time, we are telling me dog, it's like ooh. Yeah. Then you got how the tune go now? What's the first one that went off with Kojo?
Is it talking? Done talking?
Done talking. Right. So you got see me done talking. See me done barking you. Yeah, then you got that. That's one hook. Hello, it's me again. That's another part.
Yeah.
Heard the pagans in the end. Yeah. This is another hook now. It's another hook. Here's sana sana. Like here's sana sana. There's bare hooks. These are verses, but it's like hook after hook after hook. That's how you make hit record, bro. Right. So when you're looking at doing that, like look at your hooks thing. I'm giving you some cheat codes. Yeah, I don't usually talk about it, but
I appreciate it, man.
we are fam here. You feel me? So yeah, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank
you. Love.
That's dope. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Lovely. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Jordan. I definitely enjoyed it as well, and it definitely does sound like something suitable for an intro of a project. So yes, big up.
Let me know when it's out, bro. I'm trying to get involved, bro. I'm trying to hear that, bro. I like that. The direction you're going. It's out,
It's
yeah?
out. Yeah, it's on SoundCloud.
Yes, sir.
Put it in the chat.
David. Guys, follow me on Instagram. If you guys are on there, follow me on Instagram at Deanyboy. Like, DM me, like, anything you want me to listen to, send me stuff in DMs. Like, I'm always looking to listen to, like, new music, even just to play around the house. And, like, if I meet with people, I'll put people onto your music and be like, yo, this guy's dope. Like, you feel me? So, Yeah.
Yes, guys, stay connected, get connected. Plus, there's probably not going to be enough time for everybody's questions. So, any extra questions that you do have, you could shoot over to Deanie on the DM. But we've got one last question then from David. David, are you there? Yeah.
Hi, yo. It wasn't really a question. It was more like feedback on this
Okay.
thing. I just kind of wanted to say my thoughts on it. I liked it. I get the thing that Deanie's saying about, Deanyboy is saying about the hooks and everything. But if I was to say what I think about it, I think like without hooks as you had it, to me, to someone like me, it's calm because like it's more like a narrative kind of thing. It's not really like you're trying to sing a song. So certain people have different tastes essentially.
Yeah.
If you're trying to reach a wide audience, hooks are what you want to do. But if you want to like tell your kind of story, which I'm guessing you try to do, without the hook, it's like a straight narrative, a straight storyline. But my only criticism is more like on a producer aspect. So it probably has nothing to do with you. It's just that at the start and at some points, I couldn't really hear your voice as clearly because the music's a bit too loud, it's a bit too strong. So as he was talking about pockets, I'm still trying to understand the thing about pockets too, but like kind of like find a balance where your voice kind of pushes through enough where you can still hear the music clearly, but it's not overwhelming. But yeah, overall, it was really solid. I actually, like you saw me, I don't know if you saw me, but doing like after the first two lines, I was like, hold up a second. I sat up, I was like, hold up. Let me hear what he's saying, because yo, that was amazing. I really liked it.
Great.
Flames. It depends on your target audience for sure. What target audience? It's all about what kind of audience that you want to reach for sure. Definitely. The thing about the pockets, exactly what David was saying. Like if you do sit in certain pockets, people will hear you more. Where like if you're rapping, if you're consistently rapping, you're gonna clash with certain instruments at certain times, and that's probably where people won't get to audibly hear what you're saying. So that's why I mean like pockets, like sitting in certain pockets. I'm trying to think of a beat like where you see like on I think it's a Chronic 2001. There's a beat that goes bum dum 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 dum. Like when you're rapping, you can rap in the pockets. So I'll give you an example. You're in the pockets in the gap when the beat is not doing something. Because if you're just rapping over it, every time the beat kicks in, you're fighting. Do you know what I'm saying? So just finding pockets. That's it, really.
Yeah. And I'll just mention one other thing. Like lyrically, it kind of reminded me of a little bit of Earl Sweatshirt in the way that he uses like assonance and alliteration sometimes. Because like you're not exactly stick to strict rhyme or rhyming couplets or whatever. It's not that the last word of each line. You've got rhymes within like sentences. So each line has probably like 3 or so words that kind of like rhyme with each other. But it's not just rhyme for the sake of rhyming. You're still saying something.
Some Eminem business.
Exactly. Like Eminem does it. But like it's much more soulful. I kind of get why you call it soul food. But no, yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's what I can say.
Dope, bro. Dope.
Nice. Honestly, yeah, that was very lovely, and thank you for your feedback as well, David. And Deanie. Cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, that's a wrap then, guys. So a massive thank you to Deanyboy for sharing so much wisdom and knowledge and just general gems with us today.
It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys.
Yeah, I feel connected to you over there.
Yeah, I know, right? Bless up. Yeah.
But it's been lovely. Thank you, and I hope that you guys have made some notes. And then thank you to our audience for joining us via Zoom and Instagram Live. I hope that you've enjoyed today's session. Be sure to join us next Monday on the 8th of March for our finance and budgeting for film and TV masterclass, super important, which will be hosted by Kyra Sharice Campbell. Yeah, and that's it then. I'm Cheyenne Fairweather. Thank you for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week.
Blessings, people. Love.